Hello guys, welcome back to Comic Book Cafe, and today we are reviewing Bloodstrike Volume 2, Issue 1, an Image book. Of course, it's the return of ROB LIEFELD, back to the Extreme Universe with a new character he's introducing in this book. Now, when you talk about ROB LIEFELD, he becomes a polarizing artist in the comic books because some people like him and some people don't. Forget all the stories and all the stuff about him. Difficult to work with all the other garbage. Some of that is propaganda, some of that's not. That's not important. When you read a book or something, you either like his style or you don't like his style. It's that simple. In the 90s, early 90s, him, Larson, McFarland, these were some of the guys that I looked forward to reading their books every week when they had their runs at Marvel. They were my, whatever they were doing, I read it. I read, the end run at New Mutants where he started on that book. I had not read the Hawk and Dove stuff he did at DC before that. So I'd read it, back then when there was actually, magazines on comic book news and stuff. I read about how, hype of him coming to New Mutants. And so I jumped on board, I think issue 90 of New Mutants to the very end, until 100, the very last 10 issues. Run of that book. And that series is going to be memorable because he introduced, of course, Deadpool, Domino, a lot of characters that set up X-Force and beyond. And his style was appealing to me at the time because at that time, everybody's style was kind of the same. That they had the over-the-top style that it just appealed to me at that time. They had a clean style, too. And what I mean by clean is their lines, everything, if you pay attention, the colors and all that stuff were clean. There was not a lot of guys who draw comics, and what ruins a book for me today, even with a good story, is when I see really bad art. And what I mean by bad art, not disproportionate. Like, okay, the guy's a little bit bigger than he's supposed to be, super muscly, but when the art seems to be a lower quality to me, the guy doesn't look like he can draw very well to me. That throws a book off for me. And LIEFELD has always been clean where I liked it. Now, you may not like the disproportionate way he draws, like super huge, big, gigantic people. But that style of his has always appealed to me, so I like the style. So, when, of course, they jumped to Image, I read the books in Image of his. And then I kind of fell out with LIEFELD. And for me, when they all moved to Image, I thought, oh, I'm going to be getting their books. But then when other people started doing their books and they weren't doing the art anymore, I just lost interest. Simply, truthfully, at the time, I lost interest. There's a lot of books during that era that I have to go back and read after the first couple of years that I just lost interest in Image, to be honest. And for some reason, I reconnected when Heroes Reborn happened and liked the stuff that happened then. And then, again, followed Flavor until this. I don't know why this book in particular got my interest, and I, immediately picked it up. The first book I picked up this week. But it did. And here's the thing about it. This is a mature book. So if you don't want to read a mature book, then this is not the comic book for you right off the bat. This is a mature book. There's mature matter in it. It's not just, cussing and stupid jokes like that. But of course those cussing jokes, and mature like jokes, of course, are in there. There has, to me, I actually enjoy a book that has some kind of, joking in it. It doesn't always have to be serious. It breaks up some of the stuff. And this book has gore in it, of course, a little bit of gore. But basically, we start off Bloodstrike with the new guy. Don't know who he is. The new guy in the Bloodstrike program. Remind you of other guys that LIEFELD's drawn before. A little bit of Deadpool, and other characters he's drawn. If you look at the style of this character, he's got double swords in the back, which I believe when he drew Deadpool, he originally had double swords in the back and stuff like that. Some of the style is reminiscent, and again, a lot of the style you could draw at other books he did at Marvel, and that's just the way it is. Anybody draws for a while, you kind of see stuff they did before, similarities. Anyway, all we know by reading this book is the dude's name in Bloodstrike is, his name is codename Alpha, and when he starts out the book, he's cut in half, basically bleeding, chained up. And then you do a flashback to what before happened, of course, and you see him, and he's He's going after somebody that's not sanctioned by Bloodstrike. This is his own mission he wants to do. He understands he gets serious trouble by doing this, but he's going to do this. And he gets in this manner, goes through all the guards and all kinds of people, and the two personal big sumo guys that are next to get to Tragedy Ann. And then we found out Tragedy Ann and him have some kind of past, because she calls him JT, and they had some kind of relationship due to what you see in the talking between them. And she throws blades at him, which are toxic. He breaks them not knowing it. It's paralyzed, and that's how he ends up in the chains, and part of his body is missing. So he has to chew through an arm so he can be relocated, so that the Bloodstrike can locate him, so they can send a ROM out, and somebody, and with a ROM to send somebody out to get him. And so he gets reconnected, and Cabot is the one who gets the call, who just got reanimated, I guess, himself. And so he gets the stuff he needs, and he goes to try to save the dude. Now, in between this, we see Bloodwolf. I believe his name is Bloodwolf. And he's sitting there with two girls. They're in some Bloodstrike prison, and I guess they're both on death row. And again, not knowing much about this character, I did not know. It was kind of shocking when he sees Dan with them, and then Cabot goes over, don't play with him, and then he kills him for food. I guess food. He kills him, eats him. Don't really see it graphically. You know enough to know what happens. You don't really see the pure graphics of it. So, okay, so you're like, okay, this guy's he's a good bad guy, kind of thing. And then we go back where Cabot locates the guy, puts him on the regeneration things. He regenerates, and this is where the funny part happens. He's missing a man part. And he's upset. She took a man part. So he wants to go get her. Cabot says, no, you don't. We got to go back they told me to bring you back to shoot you and kill you if you don't come back. They get in a little fight. They're stabbing each other. They end with him stabbing him in the neck. And then the very end, then Shogun shows up, Deadlock shows up, Bella shows up, basically threatening to stick them both up their butt if they don't come with her. And that's how their story ends for the issue. Then we go back to Tragedy Ann, who has, of course, the man part. And you see this other girl, she runs this blonde girl, the eyes are red, who, did you ask if she got it? She said, yeah, she did. She goes, good. I want to see how, helpless he was or depowered he was when you did this, just like he did to me when he brought me into the program. So now you know that somehow Alpha had gotten code name Alpha, when they don't know his real name or who he really is yet, had got her into the program, and she doesn't, and clearly didn't turn good. Don't know what happened there, and as she shows in a manhood that she could use it for her army, and that's all you know. Again, kind of a setup issue, obviously, from everything building out from here. I actually enjoyed this book very much because you just didn't know who the new guy was, not sure, what's going on, like Tragedy and stuff, and it was a pretty good setup book. It was kind of the book you start off to build on later on. Not a lot to, you can't really rip this book or anyway. I enjoyed the book reading it. I enjoyed the art in the book, the colors in the book. So it's the kind of book, if you like that 90s style, you will like the art in this book. It's a book you can jump on board if you've never read Bloodstrike or Liefeld before, and you don't have to know anything. This is a restart, so you could just read this and be perfectly comfortable. But if you're someone who's read the books before, you can jump right in knowing the characters and the past. But again, this is a book where you don't necessarily have to. Any number one of a relaunch of a book series in any way, you shouldn't have to know the past to enjoy it, and in this case you don't have to. I mean, it's kind of those things where you learn the characters eventually if you've never learned them before. All you know is that, if you've never read the book before, oh look, there's Cabot, he looks like Cable. Oh look, there's Alpha, he kind of looks like Deadpool. And not ripping the book, there's similarities if you've seen that stuff before. Anyway, I enjoyed the book thoroughly, actually, and I can't wait to look for issue 2. Granted, I'm kind of biased because I like Liefeld's style. So, what did you think of Bloodstrike Volume 2, Issue 1? Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Or is it you just not going to get it because of who's writing it? Again, Image is a funny thing when you talk about comic books. So they do very different comic books than other people, and superheroes actually is not what they're known for anymore. But to see like Liefeld come back and do this, would you be interested in giving this another chance because he's doing this superhero book again, or are you kind of like, I'm not interested in any modern book anymore? Anyway, love to hear your guys' opinions like always. I enjoyed the book. If you're looking for a book to read, highly recommend this book this week.